Good evening and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Dan Camilleri.
And I'm Laura McKillop. We're doing something a little bit different tonight, but we'd still like to thank Enduro for their ongoing support in bringing you our weekly Q&A. Tonight, we're doing something a bit different. We're talking to the boys from the Ultimate Stock Dog. So we've got Matt and Chris Sherwood and Nathan Cave on board. How are you guys going tonight?
Good, thanks.
Good, thank you.
That's the way. And Daniel's here with us, of course. How's everyone's day been?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good, mate.
Bit wet out there, guys?
Yeah, we've had a bit of rain over the last week or so, probably 70-odd mils. So it's good autumn break.
And anyone that's not familiar, we've actually, so these boys here, Matt and Chris, they created the Ultimate Stock Dog. Boys, you want to talk a bit about the behind the scenes and how that come about?
Yeah, so Matt and I, we talk about dogs non-stop. It sort of seems to just be what we talk about all the time. And a few years ago, we both working on mixed farming properties, which is what a lot of people in this sort of area of New South Wales are doing. So paddock work, sheep work and cattle work. We sort of like the idea of dogs that could do every job. And basically the way I looked at it was people were breeding with dogs based on how they were going at trials and whether they were winning trials or yard trials or paddock trials or cattle trials. And they're getting maybe sometimes getting a little bit single, like in one direction. So maybe we thought maybe we could make a trial that showcased those dogs that could do everything fairly well.
And had some success with the trial quite early, right? You had some good numbers and some really good backing from your local community.
Yeah, we got they didn't come flying in to begin with. I think people were a bit nervous about different things. A lot of people hadn't cattle trialed before, and probably the majority of people that supported us were yard dog trialers. They hadn't and may not have three sheeped either. So it took a little bit of convincing at the start, but once people came along and had a go, some people got really hooked on the idea and thought, wow, this is where I need to improve. This is what I need to be putting into my dogs, maybe a bit more strength for the cattle section, or they're not quite up to scratch outside. It took a little bit for the first year. We got our 50 or 60 entries just each year, but it got more popular as it went on.
Absolutely. And Nath, not being the president of the Yard Dog Association back then, what was your take from what the boys were trying to create?
Oh, Dan, I only ever got the chance to enter once. And I think I went and watched a couple of other times. To be honest with you, I was pretty nervous about putting a dog into it to begin with. And I think mainly because, it sort of takes a bit of guts to put your dog out there to compete in three different disciplines, like with your yard, your paddock and your cattle. And I think once I saw it for the first time, I just thought the concept and what I guess the boys were trying to achieve putting it together, what the aim was for. And I think quickly, just amongst sort of talk with people, the people were quickly sort of saying just that is the sort of trial that if you want to test yourself and your dog, that's the type of trial that you need to go to. And I mean, it's called Ultimate Stock Dog for a reason. And I think trialing in general can sort of get a few knockers because it might drift away a little bit from that practical day-to-day stuff. I think what the boys did putting it together basically nailed that concept of having a dog and an all-round dog to sort of, work those three different, sections.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And Maddie, we haven't heard from you yet. Mate, having like Nathan giving you a bit of feedback there, and Chris mentioning that before, you guys are a bit of a catalyst for this now. We're seeing this kind of setup regularly. How did you try and drive that to the community to start with?
Well, I guess we just put it out there, and it was sort of, I think it did freak a few people out, and it sort of stopped a few people from coming, which was a bit of a shame. But once they did see it, as Nathan said, a lot of people thought, oh no, I can enter this, and it wasn't as scary as what it sort of seemed to be. But yeah, we just put it out there. The first year we didn't know how we were going to go, but then sort of the buzz took it, and each year it sort of just built. So yeah.
When was the first year?
It was 2014.
Yeah, it must have been about then. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we ran for 4 years. So yeah, and we only finished up the property that I was looking after at Goulburn, which is near where we ran it at Taralga. It was subdivided and sold. So Chris and myself had to move on. We had to move. We relocated down towards Young to a different area. And as we moved, we sort of came into a pretty bad drought. And it wasn't the time to be asking people for stock and things like that. It was right at the start of that really, really bad drought there a couple of years ago. So it just stopped. And then, yeah, we just never sort of got it back going again. But then it's so great to see people like Nathan that ran a really successful event last year, and the boys running the SSD down in Victoria doing a really, really good job, and Ryan and his crew up at Geary running something similar as well. Like it's just great to see the concept, keeping on going. So.
And would it be right that some of these guys actually contacted you and go like, I don't want to step on your toes, like when they started their own kind of formats?
Yeah, they did, and a few of them even asked if they could call it the Ultimate Stock Dog, and at the time we were going to keep that, but we sort of made the decision we're not going to run one ourselves personally again, and that's sort of why we sort of went that way. But then after Nathan contacted us and we had a good chat and thought, we're going to sort of step back, and Nathan ran such a good show last year. We thought, let's go with the Ultimate Stock Dog and sort of go again. So that's exciting.
And the reason, sorry, Laura.
That's all right.
I was going to say, the reason I highlighted that is just to show the respect within the community to actually come and ask you guys up front rather than just running something and whatnot. Like, you know, while we're all competitors out there, or not myself, but more experienced guys, I'm just a donator. It's good to see that respect and camaraderie out there, right? Like everyone doing their bit and not wanting to tread on people's toes. I just love the sportsmanship side of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Must have been a bit humbling as well.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I know you guys have stepped back, but I believe you're still involved with helping Nathan get this one going.
Yeah, we'll let a few sheep out on the weekend or something like that. Try and help out where we can on the weekend. We've spoke to Nathan and said, let us know what we can do to help.
Yeah.
But he's taking the reins.
So, and Nathan, you're right, Laura, go for it.
I was going to say, Nathan, like, good on you for taking it on and all the rest, but what made you sort of want to step up and do your one last year as a charity?
Yeah, I guess that was sort of more on that charity level, and I was trying to sort of create something to get a little bit of hype, you know, with the charity. And I guess, you know, a yard dog trial, you know, that in itself, you know, can be hard enough to organise. But I just think with look, there's a fairly good setup in there at Cowra. It sort of gives itself to an event like that, and look, I've spoken sort of on and off to Maddie about it. Look, you know, over the last little bit, sort of especially when they were sort of through that bit of, that transition period, moving and all of that. And it was more that I think I sort of just said to Matt that if they wanted to try and get it up running again, I was just more than happy to help. Because I think the trialing game and the industry sort of needs a trial like that. And as Matty said, I mean, they've now sort of got one down there in Victoria, and Ryan's one out there at Geary. But and so yeah, I just went with that format. I thought that would sort of pull the people in, which it sort of did. Supported the charity great, and it went off well. And I think just on the back of that, I just felt like there's probably an opportunity to sort of to do it again. And it was, that respect thing, Dan. I mean, I guess you don't, it was the brainchild of Matt and Chris. And so you don't want to sort of go in there and and basically take over what they worked so hard to put together. And I don't think there's anything about the concept that you would change. I think what they did, how they sort of organised it, put it together. I mean, last year I didn't change a thing. I wouldn't do it again this year. The only thing was I was struggling to come up with a name. Whether it's naming dogs or whatever it is, I'm absolutely hopeless. And I spoke to Matty, and yeah, I just sort of wanted to see where he and Chris were maybe at with it, and I just sort of floated the idea of taking the name on. And obviously, Matt and Chris were sort of happy to do that. And I think the important thing for me, though, is just to keep it as it was. And look, one thing we are going to do, I've spoken to the boys about this, but we're going to call like the perpetual trophy of the USD the Sherwood Trophy. And that's just to keep that, just so people know in hopefully 5-10 years that, the boys were the ones behind it. And I'm just sort of taking it on just so that it can sort of stay out there amongst all of us, I guess.
And looking at the boys' fine form tonight, mate, I hope that trophy will have a good moustache on it as well. So they're sporting some beautiful facial hair there.
Yeah.
And like the boys mentioned before there, so originally this was in Teralga. For the people that aren't sure where it was run last year, so the new location is going to be back at Cowra, where you ran the trial last year. Yeah,
so it'll be at the Cowra showground, but down in the Camp Draft area. So it's a fairly, the Camp Draft arena is a fair, it was good enough to run the paddock section. It was, it was sort of challenging enough, I guess, to sort of put that paddock section together. Your yard was we're going to set up a different yard section this year just to try and bring us all a little bit more sort of centralised in around what's happening. And then the cattle just in the same arena on the Sunday. So, great venue. I think last year from, the catering, and there's good vantage points. You can see everything that's going on pretty much from where we all, are situated around the ground. So, great venue. Cowra's pretty central. I think whether you're sort of travelling from sort of up north a little bit or down south, it's fairly central. And one thing I will point out is just no one drive on the race course or the trotting track.
That was one of my mates last year, so I'll own that. And also on the format, look, that's the Malinois playing with the sausage dog out there, mate. And on the format, you mentioned sheep on Saturday, cattle on Sunday, yards, paddock. Mate, are we looking at 3 sheep, 4 sheep? What are we looking at for the paddock section?
Yeah, is that going to course, right-hand course?
Yeah, no. So the paddock section, it'll start on the Friday afternoon. Hopefully, we get close to the 50 entries. So we're at this stage, look, we're sort of, I've put on there limited to 50. Just given sort of the time of year, we're going out of daylight saving, and we sort of, want to be able to get through the program without being rushed. So the paddock will start on a Friday afternoon, say maybe about 2 o'clock. Try and get around, through perhaps sort of 10 runs or so. I think 3 sheep. Look, the idea is that, we're going to bring enough sheep in so that everyone gets 3 fresh sheep, or, for their particular run. They'll get, say 11, 12, 13 fresh sheep for their yard trial. And just try and make it as fair as we can in that respect. And look, I guess sort of up to the judge a little bit too. We'll set up the course. Having done it last year, I think that worked fairly well. But, maybe there's a few changes to it. Can't reveal too much. But yeah, so that'll sort of be the paddock section. And then on Saturday, the yard will sort of run along with it. Not hard to get through 50-yard runs, but it'll probably, your drenching race, your draft, I think we'll put a truck in there or a platform. So the 50 runs, that'll be fine to get through, and then we'll just concentrate on the cattle, for the Sunday.
And always talk about judges. Have you got your judges picked out yet?
Yeah, got the judges all sorted. So Maddie's going to do the yard for us, and Benny Costa's going to do the cattle on the Sunday, and Dave Motley's going to do the paddock.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, look, 3, and I think with your judges, you want to sort of look for those guys that have that practical element. They sort of working day to day. I think one thing to point out, which Matt and Chris did sort of really well in the beginning of it all, was that, you go to a yard trial, and I guess, the way you work your dog around the course, there's sort of an expected way. You want your dog backing the race and doing certain things. But I think with what the boys did initially was that they wanted to sort of concentrate on that practical work, and that, maybe your way of loading the race at home isn't by backing. Maybe you jump your dog out and he works the side of the race. But if it's effective and it works, you're paid for that. And I think that's what we're really trying to encourage is not so much the trial enthusiasts, but more the guys that, day to day are out there. They've got those sort of dogs on a mixed enterprise that have that bit of all-round ability. And, they can get out there and sort of put 3 sheep around a course and, work cattle and do the yard section of it. So I think that's where the judges, the importance of who you pick for your judges, it means a lot, because that's what we're trying to target, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the quality of the judges, and you've got some fantastic judges there, brings back people next year, right? And the following year.
Yeah, I think so. And, with Maddie and Dave and Ben, they're been very successful at what they've done, professionally and in the trialing game. And so you try to get, the best of the best if you can do it. And I think the judging, does go a long way to how you attract people back the next year. We want people to come. We want them to have every opportunity to get around all 3 courses. And I think we've got to keep that in mind when we're setting them up, the way that we judge. If you make it too difficult, and people aren't getting around, they probably wonder if it's worthwhile paying the entry fee the next year to come back. So, it's got to be workable. And I'm pretty confident that the boys that are doing it this year, they'll be spot on.
So that said, obviously you mentioned everyone's going to get fresh sheep. The cattle. So cattle going to be worked down a bit prior to trial?
Yeah, so that was something I sort of picked up on last year. And I think, when you run an event, you probably focus on what didn't go right so you can improve it for the next time. And that was one thing I was a bit disappointed with the cattle last year. And I don't think, obviously cattle can turn it on at the best of times, but we've certainly sort of put in place, guys sort of just doing a bit of a job on them just to get them prepared, for this year. And hopefully it just makes it that little bit more of an even sort of contest where people can sort of get good cattle, that are workable. So, look, it remains to be seen. You never know, but that was certainly one of the things we sort of thought of, straight up. So all the same run of cattle off the one place. They're worked. They're worked with good stockmen. So I don't see why there'd be a problem with them this year.
And obviously trying to attract people away from trialing as well. Like you mentioned guys in mixed enterprises, and starting on a Friday afternoon, people that might be a bit hesitant because they might not be able to get there on the Friday. Obviously, there's going to be some flexibility around that as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you've got to be flexible, and those that perhaps are able to get away and come on the Friday afternoon, if they let us know, we'll be able to sort of fit that into the draw. But it's really just to sort of help us out on the Saturday, so it's just not so rushed. I think we did it last year, but there were a fair few that retired last year as well, so they didn't take up, all the time. I want to try and avoid that as well. Like I said, I want everyone to have as much of an opportunity to get around as they can. So the Friday afternoon, look, I'm sure we'll have a few people sort of coming in, setting up, like there's camping available, and hopefully they're keen to run a dog on the Friday evening.
Do you just want to touch on that camping and accommodation around the area?
Yeah, so there's camping on the grounds. I think it's $25, but you've got power and you've got access to water. There's shower and toilet facilities there. And look, Cowra's pretty good for accommodation. There's plenty of sort of motels and all that if you don't want to camp out. We'll have catering. We'll have catering for probably for the 2 days. I think. I think last year when we did that dinner on the Saturday night, we'll do that again. I think that went really well. So just brings a little bit more of a social sort of aspect, to it after we sort of finish competing for the day. So yeah, I think the Cowra Camp Draft and Radio Association, they're going to take care of the roast dinner again on Saturday night. Everyone, we'll sort of try and cater for everyone's needs as best we can.
Fantastic. And boys, you guys had some fantastic trophies there over the years that it ran. People are like actually just love the look of them and how rustic they were. What have we got up for grabs this year?
Oh, I think we're still thinking about that a little bit. I don't want to give too much away. So we're just going to, as I said, stick with the same concept. $5,000 for the first place, pay down to fifth. Each section winner of yard, paddock, cattle will get some prize money and a trophy. We've got some pretty cool merchandise sort of organised as well. I think there'll be a high point bitch award. There'll be plenty of things to sort of compete for and give away. And I won't give too much away too soon though.
That's cool. And obviously the boys had a real good backing from their local community before in terms of sponsorship. Did you be able to get some good backing back in Cowra, or any of the existing sponsors able to get back on board as well?
I sort of didn't talk too much to Matt and Chris about that, obviously because they were sort of around that Traralga, Goulburn area, and I think they were, were sort of getting bits and pieces off some others as well. Cowra's always very supportive, and we've sort of targeted a few other businesses as well. Look, we're planning on doing a live stream of the event. That obviously comes at a bit of a cost, but again, I think it's a good way to, promote the event. And for those that sort of can't make it, I'm sure they'd enjoy watching it on the live stream. So just a few things like that are an added cost, logistics, transport, those sorts of things, like as Matt sort of touched on there, sort of through that drought period and with the value of stock these days, it's not easy to ask people to give you a couple of loads of cattle, to send in. And so I think they've got to have the confidence in you that you're going to look after them. And that's probably one thing that, through good stockmanship, you're probably going to promote over the weekend to look after the livestock. But pulling all those things together, is a bit of a challenge and does come at a cost, but I think we'll have it covered.
And just touching on stockmanship there, Matty and Chris, having run this such successful event, what advice would you give to people that are teetering with the idea of coming but kind of not confident? How would you pump those guys' tires up and girls' tires up, women?
Oh, I just think you just got to have a go. Like it's that was one of the things that sort of drove us to run it. Like I remember going to yard trials and people would be like, I've been chewing cattle all week. Then you're like, yeah, right. Like, I don't believe you. And then when they had the chance to come and show it at the USD, they didn't show up. So I think get out there and put your money where your mouth is. Have a bit of a go.
But it's pretty relaxed though. Like it's not as daunting as what it sounds. Like everyone's just, everyone's probably a little bit nervous when they first started, and it wasn't too scary when they got there. So it was a whole heap of fun.
And Matty, on those people that might be nervous and might not know anybody in the circles, what advice would you give to those people?
Just turn up, enter. Just enter. Just go and maybe talk to some. Go and talk to some people that maybe do a few of the different events and get some pointers and that sort of stuff. But it's not as scary as what it is. Like, you build it up in your mind a lot bigger than what it actually is. It's really good fun, really good bunch of people doing it. It's such a good weekend. So
everyone's too worried about their own dog to be watching yours. So just have a go.
That makes me feel better about having a crack myself.
Go for it.
And like, what's the worst that can actually happen, right? You might make a few mates out of it.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah, we met a heap of blokes through running the USD. They're all over the place that we never would have had the chance to meet before. We still keep in contact with blokes from Victoria and Hunter Valley and that, which, we met through doing the USD.
And Nate, you got many people entered from interstate at all?
No, none from interstate as yet, but the entries are rolling in pretty quick. So I would encourage those that are wanting to get in to get your entries in. So we're capped off at 50. But they're coming in.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you have anything else there, Laura?
No, I think it's pretty all covered. So, best of luck with it all, and thanks for jumping on.
That's right. Just Nathan, anything else that you wanted to add, or boys, anything you guys wanted to add at all? Well, you got open forum here, right?
I think we're pretty much sort of covered everything. Like I think just touch on it again, sort of what Chris and Matt just said. For those that are maybe a bit hesitant about it, I've sort of noticed lately that people are getting a lot more comfortable with putting themselves and their dogs out there. And again, like this is put together to be a workable trial. It's not put together, to to sort of see, who
People
can't,
show.
who can't do it. It's to give you every opportunity to get out there and really have a go. So, I think the other thing too is, there'll be people out there on the weekend that just, more than happy to probably help you, give you some advice. If you're a bit nervous, not sure, you might not have, done any paddock work in a trial environment before. Well, there's not really a lot to it, and I think you'd probably be better for the experience, to be honest.
And do you want to recap on the dates there again, Nath? The dates that they're running and the trial entry close dates?
Yeah, mate. So 28th, 29th, 30th of April. And I think our closing date might have been, I think we were sort of close to maybe the 17th of April, I think, were the closing dates. Yeah.
Well, there you go. You got the 17th of April to everyone listening, but only 50 spots available. So get in quick, so you don't miss out, because otherwise it coulda, shoulda, maybes. You guys will have to wait till next year.
Yeah, that's it.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for jumping on, and obviously best of luck for April, Nathan. Hope it all goes off well.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Dan.
Not a problem, guys. Thanks heaps for your time.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you.
See ya.